have the XT2400 and the the CS. I always get this mixed up. The CS15. So it's a 1500 watt RGB fixture as well as a 2600 watt XT, which is a bicolor fixture with tips. So we're calling that dynamic white, in that it's our first bicolor fixture that will have green magenta shifting.
Oh, good.
Built into it. So yeah. So those are our two big guys. They're part of the new lineup. It's called the Electro lineup. That's because it also has the new Aputure mount, which is an electronic mount. Both lights also have a Bowens mount built into the light as well. So you still can use your Bowens accessories. Obviously, these are giant lights, so only like the Light 150, Lantern 90, the new Spotlight Max, these are all compatible with it. But for the most part, we expect people to use the electronic mount, but we wanted to leave the Bowens mount in there because people don't want to rebuy us.
Right. Oh, you get torn apart online.
We want to deliver value, right? Yeah. But the new electronic mount is really amazing because it allows us to give power. So we have an F14 Fresnel.
Yeah.
And that actually is controllable not just via the ballast or at the Fresnel itself, but also via DMX and eventually via Cytoslink. So the same thing with the electronic yoke. So both lights have a removable yoke.
Oh, you built that yoke?
Yeah, that's our yoke.
Oh, no shit.
So that's our electronic yoke. You pop it on. The light knows that it's in the electronic yoke. You can control the yoke through the ballast. It's not the smoothest through the ballast, but also eventually through Cytoslink and then through DMX with your board operator. So, we know what these lights are meant for. These are outdoor lights meant to go on cranes or in places that are hard to reach, in crank-evators and things like that. And we want you to be able to reposition them, focus and spot them, and be able to do anything you could do to the fixture without losing a person to a crane or having to repo or bring it down and adjust and come out.
I do gotta say, like, weirdly enough, you guys have the same thing with Sidus Audio, like amazing apps. The apps are actually very good.
And there's more things coming. We're not talking about those in Cine Gear, but before the end of the year, you can expect some really cool news on that front.
Awesome. They keep doing that.
I know every single time. We'll have to pan over here.
Yeah, we'll get some.
We have some slow motion of the cans being pointed at. But another really cool thing about the A-mount is that because it's electronic, we put contacts even in our reflectors. And some people might say, why are you putting contacts on a dumb modifier? Well,
dumb meaning not electronic.
Yeah, manual modifier. Because then the light knows what reflector you're using. As you know, different materials are going to affect your color balance slightly. So if you go through any kind of silk or diffusion, it's going to warm up. It's going to warm up the light. If you go through a lens, it's going to change the nature of the light slightly. So it knows if you're using the Fresnel. It knows if you're using the wide, medium, or narrow reflector. It will know once we come up with a softbox that's if we're going through the softbox, the light will adjust its white balance. So that compared to the naked cob, the reflectors, or the Fresnel, we expect less than a 200 degree Kelvin shift.
Incredible.
Between all the different reflectors.
Amazing.
Mix and match. You don't have to worry about this.
I very much like that.
This is really minute stuff. I feel like 99% of people are mixing, Fresnels and chimeras and things, and we're not really worried about those little changes, but we're aiming these tools at the very top professionals. And that's when you really need that kind of color accuracy. If you're going to go into virtual productions, you're trying to marry production prop sets to the background. It's very important to have consistency and not have any kind of shifting because of that kind of stuff.
Well, and also I imagine...
You guys can cross.
Yeah, just go for it. I also imagine that if you, if you were someone who doesn't quite understand that, I remember being a younger filmmaker and just any light, you buy those pigtail bulbs and you're just like, whatever, it's a light. But if someone less experienced were to buy one, you're doing the work for them by not having inconsistency in their shots. Well, and then they just like your light.
The truth is that tungsten, in the old bulb days, right? Tungsten and HMIs aged, and as they aged, they shifted. As those reflectors aged, they shifted. And so on really high-end shows, especially in the days of film, it was really separating a kind of lower budget production from higher budget production in cinematography. You had a gaffer with a color meter literally going light by light and going, you're going to do a little plus minus 1/8 on this one. Let's do a point, like literally using gels to make sure that all the lights were within 200 Kelvin, 500 Kelvin of each other because of the variance of just bulb age and reflector wear and tear. And this one's going through a silk. So maybe we throw a little bit of blue in there because we know it's going to warm it up. So, this is who we're aiming these products at. These are big lights. You're not really going to be using these in a one-man band
It is-
situation.
no.
The heads are about 30 pounds, the ballasts are 40 pounds.
Yeah.
So these require, the 26 is a distro light, so
Right.
you need 60 amp baits, or you really need to know what you're doing as an electrician if you want to get around that, right? But
I did hear at the party, the Aputure had a party the other day.
Cinematography Salon had a party.
Oh.
Aputure, which is one of the
They were
invited
present.
sponsors.
But you guys had what was aimed at the wall? The 2600?
No, the wall was the 15, and the 26 was aimed at the tree.
Okay, so that one, I was probably 50, 60 yards away, and I was getting a nice key from the wall reflection from the 15.
So the 15 has over 4,400 watts worth of LEDs in it. It has over 1,500 watts of each white LED. It is brighter than an M18 in daylight.
Yeah. Oh, geez. Yeah. Okay.
So this is not a situation where we made a 1200C that's going to be 30 to 70%, 30 to 40% less bright than a 1200D. We went to what we asked our market wanted, and that is the maximum brightness you can plug into a wall. So one cool thing that we did is, if you know M18s, you know that you're always struggling with melting Hubble reflectors, receptors, because you're usually trying to plug them into 50 amp circuits if you're not in a full distro mode.
Right.
And if you're not switching those volts to a 1200 volt bulb, you run into these issues of tripping breaker. Our ballasts now have our cables for AC power have a fourth pin now, ground, negative, positive, and a fourth identity pin. So the light knows what cable you plug into it. So if you plug in a 20 amp cable, which is what comes to the 1500, you get the full power of the light. If you buy our 15 amp cable, that's a 15 amp Edison to plug into any household, it'll limit the output to 15 amps.
So you're not
breaking any breakers.
Yeah.
And so you keep it safe. The same thing with the 2600. It's going to come with a 60 amp Bates connector and open-ended for, we have our Canadian brethren, they're using Joy connectors.
Well, the Australian dude at the party was like, I could just plug this into my wall.
Yeah,
we're
if you're,
at 220.
if you're Australian and European,
Yeah.
Eternally have been jealous of our Australian. Anyone who's in 240, I've always been jealous because you can really get up to a 4K if you know what you're doing on a household circuit in the UK. And
We really blew it.
So, but we will have a 15 amp Edison plug for the 2600. And yes, it's going to limit the output. But the point of that is not to use it all the time. The point of that is you're on location, you're on a generator, you get lightning strikes, you have to shut down the generator. So if you have to shut down the generator, it's one thing to cross, it's another to be completely
just completely checked out.
Completely checked out and just really slowly cross. But it's for emergencies, right? You have the Jenny shut down. The lights are IP65 rated and the ballasts are IP65 rated. So you can leave them out there on your conduit while it's pouring rain, while there's, maybe not lightning strikes, you want to get those down to smell. But you're working off sands. We've already seen it with the 1200 where a production was shut down because there's lightning in the area, and they were able to keep the 1200s going through the windows on location with house power. Same thing with 26. It's just to get you there, right? The generators are late in arriving. The truck got caught up in traffic. You know what happens in production. Now you have a way to at least get a light up and get going until you can swap it out for a proper distro. And so we want that versatility to continue into our pro market, and that's what we kept all these things in.
So, and are you kind of, because I know you obviously you've got Amaran, which is more either budget or sort of skunkworks zone where you test stuff out.
Amaran is our consumer division, right? And I know people talk about budget. I don't love that word, so I'm going to get a little markety.
Well, I didn't say cheap.
I'm going to get a little markety here. We're still deciding exactly what we want Amaran as a brand to be. What we do want it to be is a brand that is accessible to a lot of people. And it is the brand that is there for the non-professional, right? And there's stigma to non-professional, and I don't mean it that way. I mean a person that's not working off the truck to make feature films or commercials for a living. Because that is a different world than a content creator who is making a living and is a professional, but is not a professional crew member. They're a professional storyteller, filmmaker. They're not a professional electrician filmmaker. These lights are aimed at professional electrician filmmakers. Amaran will remain accessible to everyone from the first student filmmaker who's just getting their first light to indie productions to people who make content for a living. If I made content for a living, I don't think I need anything. I mean, maybe a 600C, but really the 300C is kind of perfect. Right? You're in a stage.
content creators mostly in small apartments.
I mean,
you don't need
I
a
have
ton of light.
I have done a ton of one-man band corporate work in my career, and weight determines a lot of purchasing decisions.
Yeah.
I did not go with the Airy Sky Panel S60s in my truck because I did not want to end up. Sure, when I'm on a crew, when I have my crew, I'm shooting commercials. It's great. I was doing a lot of corporate work, and Kino Select 30s at the time made a lot more sense because they're much lighter.
I had the Divas,
and I could do
Diva
two.
LEDs.
Right, I could do 2 of the Kino Select LEDs for the price of one at 60, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, and I can break those into C stands. For one-man band, it made a lot more sense. And then beyond those two
there's
lights,
more.
There's one more thing we're showing here, and that's the Spotlight Max. And,
I just took a photo of it.
I know that a lot of people have been wondering why it took us so long to come up with this thing. We talked about it a year ago.
Right.
Where is it? Where is it? Aputure, you're dragging your feet. Well, we didn't want to we knew this was coming.
Right.
And we didn't want to just make a Spotlight Max that was for the 1200D, the 600 series, and then, these new ones won't work.
Right.
No, these lights are compatible with the Spotlight Max. That's what took so long. We need to make
it
sure
won't melt.
It won't melt. We want to make sure the prototypes were good with these Spotlight Maxes before we came out with this. We did not want to release the Spotlight Max, again, aimed at a pro market, an accessory that's going to be obsolete the moment it comes out because it's not going to work with our newest stuff. So we wanted to add that longevity to it. But the Spotlight Max works with LEDs from 600 watts all the way to a 2600 watt LED.
Excellent.
It uses A-size or B-size glass or metal gobos. The gobo holder fully rotates 360 degrees with a geared head.
I did see they were testing that over there.
So you can really just dial in your you can even motorize it if you wanted to. If you're savvy.
Sure, yeah. You got your AC just rolling that.
1936 and 50 degree lens.
Okay.
Is going to come out with it, and then an ETC adapter. So you can use ETC Source 4 lenses.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So everyone sees their older lenses. They won't be as, look, it's the older lenses is like this is like attaching 60 millimeter lenses to a Vista Vision camera.
Right.
Okay. It's not going to be the most efficient way you're going to use the thing. Use our lenses. However, we listen to our market and our user base.
Right.
They want to use their ETC lenses. Here it is.
Yeah. Well, and having options is always good.
Having options is always great. Exactly. So,
well, excellent, man. Every review is exciting. Every release is exciting.
that's what we try to do.